Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Almost breaking even. I mean, we have much earlier.
Good afternoon and welcome to this session. It's called Making Sustainable Business Out of Sanitation. And we've called it with a banner, Sanitation for All, the Drive to 2015. My name is Paul van Koppen from the Netherlands Water Partnership, and I'll be your moderator this afternoon. And we'll have a sanitation financing session this afternoon, very much focusing on innovative funding, financial sustainability, financial viability. And my job is to make it as interestingly as possible. But please bear with me. I'm also the moderator, so I have to keep to time and see that everyone gets an equal opportunity for engagement. Before telling you a bit more about the program, I would first like to invite to the roster our guest of honor this afternoon. We have Mrs. Uschi Eit speaking this afternoon, a keynote on access to sanitation, the relevance of sanitation in the nexus/green economy, and the post-2015 MDG discussion. Now, some of you may know Ms. Uschi Eit. She has been a member of parliament in Germany for the Green Party. She's also been a former state secretary of state, I think, for economy and development in the federal government. But she speaks here in the capacity of the vice chair of UNSCAP, the United Nations Secretary General Advisory Board on Water and Sanitation. And I know her quite a long time, and I know she's a kind of ally for, I would say, to the sanitation workers. And the plea for getting sanitation more higher on the agenda and talking about shit. I remember you acting several times. So she will bring us up to, let's say, the latest information. And then after her speech, I will tell you a bit more about the program this afternoon. Ms. Uschi Eit, may I invite you to come to the podium. Give her a big applause.
Well, why not? Well, then I'm too then I'm not used to be that tall, yeah.
So take it away. Right?
And to be so much above the others. My former chair, when he was standing next to me, and you all know whom I'm referring to, yeah. That was always the difference between him and myself. Well, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues and friends, I'm often asked to speak about sanitation, but this workshop is different. And why is it different? Instead of only looking at sanitation as a horrible problem, today we are starting from the premise that sanitation provides an exciting business opportunity. I fundamentally agree with this premise. By changing our point of view, I believe we can open up a world of opportunity. That is why I'm truly delighted to join this session. In my keynote today, I will first review the global picture for sanitation. This will lead to how sanitation fits into the water, food, energy nexus for a green economy. I will wrap up with some background on how we can create an enabling post-2015 development agenda for sanitation as we move beyond the Millennium Development Goals. I've been invited here as Vice Chair of the Secretary General's Advisory Board on Water and Sanitation. When we formed in 2004 this board, we quickly realized that sanitation was almost absent from the development dialogue, and to be honest, I hardly could believe this. So we agreed right from the beginning to help create a space for sanitation advocacy by encouraging UN member states to support a resolution calling for an International Year of Sanitation in 2008. By all accounts, that year 2008 marked a turning point for sanitation advocacy. In New York, at the United Nations, in capitals across the world, in regional development banks, people were talking about the urgent need for toilets. In towns and villages, local groups were active. The women's campaign in Asia, No Toilet, No Bride, was especially encouraging. The year helped break down the taboo that surrounds toilets, open defecation, and the need to manage human sewage. We were also pleased with the dynamism the International Year of Sanitation created. But, of course, a year passes by very quickly. To extend this energy, the board laid the groundwork for the sanitation drive to 2015. And I'm especially pleased to see this at the top, yeah, and that you are using and you feel part and parcel of that drive. Thanks a lot, yeah. I will report this to our board. The drive is a campaign backed by the United Nations resolution calling for an end to open defecation and redoubled effort to halve the proportion of people lacking safe sanitation by 2015. And mind you, that was not so easy to enter in the diplomatic rhetoric expression and open defecation. This has never been done before. Yeah? So we are also very proud that a phrase like this is in a UN resolution. Friends, redoubled efforts are urgently needed. Despite the fact that sanitation is more central in the development dialogue, 2.5 million people continue to lack access. The sanitation target lags behind all other Millennium Goals. Solutions like the ones we will discuss today must be our focus. Making the connection between sanitation and human rights, health, environment, social development, and the economy is also needed. The sanitation drive to 2015 does just that. We have developed convincing arguments backed by empirical evidence for our 5 main messages. First, sanitation is a human right for all citizens. We do not believe that sanitation needs to be a free service. Rather, sanitation needs to be sustainable and affordable for all. Second, sanitation brings dignity, equity and safety, particularly for women and girls. Yes, we are seeing gains for sanitation and for drinking water, but consistently across middle income and poor countries, the poorest segments of society are simply not benefiting. In Sierra Leone, a person in the richest quintile is 29 times more likely to have access to a toilet than someone in the poorest quintile. The world of today cannot accept any longer that 12% of girls drop out of school when reaching the menstruation age due to the pure lack of toilets that gives them privacy for personal hygiene. Third, sanitation is vital for human health. Diarrhea is the second leading cause of death in children under 5. Cholera, dysentery, worms, trachoma and malnutrition could be reduced through improved sanitation. Fourth, sanitation sustains clean environment. Open defecation can contaminate land and local water source. And in developing countries, roughly 90% of sewage is dumped untreated into rivers, lakes and coastal areas. Fifth, the drive message most relevant for our discussion today: sanitation is a good economic investment. Oh, sorry, $1 invested in sanitation yields a $5 return. The 2.5 billion people lacking sanitation represent a vast potential market. Most are willing to pay something for a toilet, which translates into huge opportunities for local entrepreneurs. Friends, as we pursue these business opportunities, it is important to be aware of urgent need to do more with less environmental impact. With 7 billion people on the planet, it is our responsibility to meet our needs more efficiently. A water, food, energy nexus approach will help us make this change to a green economy. And how? by identifying cross-sectorial impacts and trade-offs so that more efficient solutions can be pursued. Think about producing energy from human facus. Use less water. Capture energy. Talk about turning a problem into an opportunity. And when I was traveling in a country in Northwest Africa, English speaking, I saw a truck, and on that truck it says, and now I come, for you it's shit, for us it's bread. So there are entrepreneurs on the ground who use these opportunities, to make their living, their existence out of shit. So this is exactly what is needed. Anyway, humans have understood for centuries that urine and facus make excellent fertilizers. And I just walked through the Aquatech and I collected this little card where it says green urine. Yeah? Transforming urine into fertilizer. Well, call it green urine. This is attractive. I will use this in my next speeches somewhere else. Yeah. After facus help produce energy, the remnants can be used as a cheap fertilizer for local crops, for urban agriculture, vegetable gardens in slum areas, and thus increase food production. Of course, it is crucial that this is done safely for both the workers and the consumers. Some figures show that we are facing a phosphorus shortage. This could have big negative impacts for food security. There is enough phosphorus in our annual output of urine to provide phosphorus for more than half of the grain we consume in a year. Systems that separate urine from facus are available and have been proven to work. Urine collection is another viable green economy venture. Our board makes the point that wastewater management is a quintessential nexus issue. After treatment, grey water can be reused for peri-urban agriculture. We know that in many parts of the world, wastewater is already used for agriculture. This practice should be encouraged, but it must be done safely for food security. And as our new chair is from Jordan, I ask you, look into the Jordanian experience. There, grey water is widely used for irrigation agriculture. Energy can be captured from wastewater. In fact, according to a recent study, on average, wastewater contains 7.6 kilojoule per liter, which is 20% higher than previously estimated. Our board is not suggesting massive trunk and branch wastewater systems that are prohibitively expensive in many countries. Instead, we need innovation, smaller modular systems that capture energy and clean water for the next appropriate use. I'm looking forward to learn from your examples you will share this afternoon. Let me wrap up with our board's vision for a dedicated water goal in the post-2015 development agenda. We believe that a dedicated water goal will help create an enabling environment for the kinds of sanitation solutions you are discussing here today. Our board's post-2015 position is comprised of three main elements. First, a global water goal should set a target to achieve universal access to sustainable sanitation and to drinking water that is really safe. The MDGs on water and sanitation targets have helped move us ahead, but the next step must be universal access. Second, the goal should include objectives for more wastewater collection, treatment and reuse along with pollution prevention. It is obvious that sanitation does not stop at the toilet. It is therefore necessary to incorporate wastewater collection, treatment and reuse so that everybody can enjoy the health benefits, economic growth and human dignity that comes with safe sanitation. Third, our board believes The goal should include targets for improved integrated water resource management and water use efficiency. This is not a new idea, however, now is the time to set clear objectives around this approach. To cope with climate variability, water management is the first line of defense. All of these elements are articulated in our new Hashimoto Action Plan number 3, which was officially launched last month at the Budapest Water Summit. We have been encouraged to see others taking up these 3 components of a water goal. For example, the high-level panel of eminent persons on the post-2015 development agenda echoed the need for universal access to water and sanitation, along with a broader perspective, including water efficiency in agriculture and improved wastewater treatment. The World We Want 2015 is a massive consultation to seek the views of civil society on the post-2015 framework. As part of this effort, the Water Thematic Consultation again cited universal access, integrated water resource management and wastewater treatment as the 3 main challenges that must be addressed in the next development framework. And in September, the interim report of the UN Member State Open Working Group on Sustainable Development Goals noted that countries have shown broad support for a dedicated goal on water. Now the question is, where from here? First, we need to be clear on our messages, and I think that events like this today will help us clarify our ideas and messages. Second, we need to work on monitoring systems to support our goals and targets. By develop credible and robust targets, which are supported with measurable indicators, we will be able to make a strong case for water as a global goal. Third, we will all agree that we must take on water-related risks to ensure a sustainable future. Securing an ambitious yet viable water goal will move us in the right direction. UNSCAP stands by to support, and I invite you all to join this effort. Last word, in just a few weeks, November 19th, will mark the first official United Nations World Water Day. Imagine what Dr. Samuel Sarfati might have thought if he had been told this, that in the year 2013 the international community will celebrate the toilet to focus attention on the fact that billions of people will live without good sanitation. We continue to need the kinds of solutions that Dr. Sarfati introduced right here in Amsterdam 200 years ago. Let his spirit inspire the sanitation drive to 2015 and beyond. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mrs. Eid, and thank you for your encouraging words and your continued battle, I would say, to get the sanitation gap closed. So once again, welcome. I would say also from the 3 organizers, just to remind you, you may have seen it in the invitation. So this afternoon session was organized by Waternet Amsterdam, the Drinking Water and Sanitation Utility, Netherlands Water Partnership, and last but not least, Aker for All. So what is the program for this afternoon? Well, first of all, you've been reading, probably in the invitation, that we want to focus on promising approaches, especially in financing sanitation initiatives. We will have 4 business cases. They'll be pitching in the first part. And we will have panelists asking provocative and informative questions to get clarity about financial sustainability. That's the first part. The second part this afternoon will be about taking a wider perspective on the funding issues, the barriers, the needed resources, the obstacles for accelerating sanitation from a financing perspective. So what do we need in terms of funding, innovative funding, or financial parties, private sector possibilities, etc. We'll have another panel, some of them will remain, and see how we can take lessons from the business cases, but also from our collective experience. And I'll try to keep to time for the different parts to have you also engage in some of the discussions. And I liked the approach of David this morning. I don't know if David is still around here, the moderator this morning. So please be already preparing your questions, or with your neighbor, in the short breaks we will have. So what about, let me see. First of all, as some of you may know, I would like to see a bit of whom we are here collectively in the room. We've only learned to know now Mrs. Eid, but I'd like to see some hands, first of all, from people coming from private sector. Some a bit slow, huh? Yeah. May I see similarly for government? If you're working with government, national or local, regional, okay, I think that's a bigger group. And then NGOs, civil society organizations. It's also, I think it's fairly well divided. Academia, research, universities. Okay, and then UN agencies, international organizations. That's a minority. Did I forget anyone? Media. Media. May I see media? Okay, we have coverage here. Wow, a lot of media in the back. Okay, that's good to see. But similarly, I would like to see some hands coming from Africa. If you're based there, working there. Okay, and then Asia. Asia is not as much as Africa. Europe. Well, this is quite Europe-centered, yeah, okay. Americas. Well, we have a few from across the ocean. Okay, that's good to see. Did I forget anyone? No, I don't think so. Let me then take a last kind of view. Who is working primarily with sanitation? Who dare saying that? Sanitation workers, raise your hand. Not so many. Who would be working primarily in water, drinking water or water management? That's much more. You see the difference. And then the ones from the finance sector. Where are those financial people here around? They're all in the front, it seems. No, they're also in the back. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Because that's about the issue today. You see the minorities. Finance people and sanitation workers. Well, that's what we try to mix today and see what we can take from lessons in terms of synergies and, I would say, fruitful cooperation. The last one, gender balance. Some people say sanitation is a women's business, but also some people say economics is a women's business. May I see hands for all the male here? And now for the female. I think it's a bit of a minority, but not as bad, I would say. Okay, that I think would tell us a bit about who we are in the room here. So let's go to the 4 pitches, actually. I think the persons are very eager and they're a bit nervous maybe to pitch their case. So what did we do? We made an inventory of innovative new business approaches in sanitation. So the organizers, they tried to compile a long list of interesting initiatives. There was a call, and there were 4 cases selected. And those 4 you'll see today. Those people, they are here somewhere in the front. They will be eager to present using 3 slides. We've had very tough conditions. 3 slides, 2 minutes. Then I will briefly interview them. And then we have the 2 panelists from the 6. They'll introduce themselves briefly. And then they will, well, try to get some of the, the key success factors out of the questions and out of the presented slides. And after that, we'll take the 3 other business cases. And then, if time allows, if we are keeping need to time, then we can have a discussion with you, having seen all the 4. I'm saying there will be no voting. Sorry to say so. But of course, if you have your expressions and your opinions, please, share them with us after seeing the 4. So that's the order for now. And then that will take about 45 minutes. And then we'll take a short mental break. I will help you there. We don't leave the room, actually, because we go straight ahead with the second part thereafter. and that will be about, well, more general issues, because we have to be ready at 4:15. Because this is actually, of course, a kind of, this is just whetting our appetite for the big event in the afternoon, which is the Sarfati Sanitation Award. As you've seen the poster and also Mrs. Eid referring to it. That will start at 4:45, and that will be, I think, for the first time being held here. So this is all a kind of good warming up for this event. Yeah? So let me just, then I think we are ready then for the first pitch. So what I will do, I will call the person to pitch to the roster. And somebody maybe should help to get the correct slides. May I first ask Mr. Sanne Castro from the Netherlands. Please give him a big hand. And in the meantime, let me get your nameplate here, Sanne. And so this is Sanne. And Sanne is from an initiative called SimGas. That's the only thing I'll tell about your initiative. And I would say let's just start now. And your 2 minutes start now, Sanne. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Sanne Castro. I founded SimGas in 2009 to solve a problem that is more related to energy. And I want to thank Ms. Eid because she pointed out a lot of problems about sanitation. But I want to increase your heap of problems. I want to put more problems on top. So apart from sanitation, there's obviously climate change, deforestation, energy poverty, indoor air pollution, which kills more people than AIDS and malaria combined. And we want to solve all of these problems. To solve all of them, we have to actually group them together and make a solution out of them. And that's what we started doing with our company SimGas. We want to create tools that empower people to help their own lives and improve their income positions. One of these tools is biogas. And what you see here is a biogas plant, which many of you have seen already all over the world. For a sanitation unit for a small school, like a boarding school, you would need about 30 tons of building materials. You need a lot of people on the site. You have a whole construction project going on. For many schools in poorer countries like Kenya and Tanzania where we work, this is not achievable. For the management of the school, they cannot handle it. They don't have the means in place, they don't have the finance for it as well. To train all the people on site to have this done, it's too complicated to reach the skill that is necessary to solve all these problems in these schools. What we did is we made something that is mass produced in a factory. There, all of the quality that you need in the biogas plant is already into the product, molded into the product. Thereby we reduce the building materials that we need. We use sustainable materials to make it, post-consumer, and it can be installed much quicker. The price is therefore reduced by about 40 to 60% per customer, which is huge impact for these schools because they have very little money to pay for this. The same thing we do at households where we provide biodigesters for people that have cows, for example, that can use it to create energy, fertilizer, but also connect the toilet and solve their sanitation needs at the same time. Our business model, because this is the thing we're discussing here, is that we as a company focus on the supply chain from production to service and support. But what comes in the middle, we engage a lot of partners in that. Why do we do that? We want to make sure that it is affordable. And to make it affordable, we have to spread the payments. Although a biogas plant pays for itself in 8 to 18 months, many customers cannot pay for this upfront. So we have to help them. That's why, for example, we work with local banks that can spread the payments with a standardized loan. How big is this market? For only 2 countries, we know this very clear. For Kenya and Tanzania combined, there are 45,000 schools that need a sanitation solution.
You have 30 seconds left, Sanne.
No problem. There are about 1.8 million families in these 2 countries that can benefit from a biogas plant as well. That's why we put up this local organization to put this in the field. We have our own production site in Dar es Salaam, from which we can supply the biogas systems. In the coming 3 years, we want to grow to Rwanda, Uganda, and India as well. That's why we need the financial partners here to help us grow there. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, give him a big hand. Yeah. Well, you took a little bit more time, Sanne. That I granted it you. Yeah. Before we ask the panelists to come to the fore, maybe just a few questions to get clarity about the background of this initiative. So, were you engaged in the initiative from the early beginning?
Yes, I founded the company. Yeah.
You founded the company. Yeah, that's what I thought. And what was the driver for you personally?
Actually, I wanted to prove that social entrepreneurship is something that can be profitable. So it's not something that is just a sink for money, but can generate cash, and actually that comes from the private sector and can be reinvested into growing it as we go.
So you want to prove that it is possible to be a social entrepreneur. And how did you come to find the sanitation business then?
Actually, it comes with what Ms. Eit said, that all problems actually come together in a biogas plant.
Yeah.
Is that you have sanitation problems that can be solved by biodigestion, but also you generate energy, which solves indoor air pollution and also energy poverty.
Yeah, but personally, how did you come across this initiative?
Well, for me, I got involved through Aqua4All and To Waste. They are here in the room as well.
Yeah.
They saw our biogas solution, said, "Come on, Sonny, you have to come to the sanitation sector as well."
Okay.
And I said, "Of course, I'll come and listen to you guys."
I didn't know that actually. Okay, that's good to hear. And you've just started up, I think. How long are you busy now?
In 2009, we started the company, and we're available. We're in the market in 2012.
Yeah, so about 1 year now. Yeah. So what would be your dream then in 5 or 10 years?
We want to supply about 100,000 biogas plants in East Africa.
100,000 biogas plants.
Yes.
Okay, great. And what would be your short-term next week's hurdle?
Next week's hurdle.
I mean,
so we just very good question. We just poured concrete and put a roof on our factory. So the next week's hurdle is actually put all the machines in place that start production.
Okay, and then the factory can be up and running.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, again,
one factory can supply about 10,000 biogas units per year.
Already of those 100,000. Okay, you're getting near very soon then, potentially. Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much. Give another big hand for Sanne. Yeah. Sanne, may you please take a seat there? Sure. And then I'll invite Theo Brouwers and Margaret McGovern to take a seat opposite the table of Sanne. And first of all, let me get your name cards. Let me see, Margaret and Theo. Maybe first, Margaret and Theo, could you briefly introduce yourselves and your organization? And please use the microphone.
Hello, my name is Margaret van Beunigen McGovern. I am a partner in an organization called PINWIMIC. PINWIMIC stands for Put Your Money Where Your Mouth Is, Community of Impact Investors. So for 20 years, we convene a community of private capital who are looking to invest in for-profit businesses that have solutions for the problems in the world. We've invested in about 45 companies to date and have helped hundreds more with connections and support where we can. And we're located in Amsterdam, but we also work globally.
Thanks, Margaret. Theo Brouwers. I'm also in the same space as Margaret. So I'm working for SNS Royal, which is a bank insurance company in the Netherlands. And I'm the manager for SNS Impact Investing, which is looking for investment opportunities in the developing countries where we combine social return and financial return. My main clients are pension funds, so institutional clients. We have invested about 400 million euro in microfinance institutions worldwide, about more than 100 microfinance institutions in more than 40 countries. And we are also looking at microfinance institutions who are looking at a way of not only providing microcredit, but also looking in a broader sense financial inclusion and looking at sanitation loans, microinsurance, all kind of products which improves their lives. And that's why I'm also invited here to look at sanitation.
Thanks very much. I will give you both altogether about 4 minutes now to have your provocative and your insight questions to Sanne. Please go ahead. Yeah.
First of all, my compliments. Thank you very much. It's very encouraging. But, well, first of all, I'm not a banker. I'm an investor. I'm looking for investment opportunities. And if this would be a presentation for investors, then you had a very, very hard time.
Please explain, Theo. Yeah.
No, because I can't see anything about whether this is financially sustainable or not. So, and I know you have only 3 slides, so it's very difficult. So, but there are no figures, there are no anything where I can look at. But in general, I think you have some challenges, and I want to know, first of all, how did you finance SimGas yourself?
Okay.
Please go ahead, Sanne. Yeah.
Sure. So in 2009 we started with a bank loan on our private account, so to say. My brother and we invested that in the company. Then friends joined later. Then later angel investors invested into the company. By then we had invested about €1 million into product development. From that stage we really got engaged with local investors in East Africa. We thought that was a necessary step to validate our product. We put up a joint venture together with the Sumeria Group, which is an investor from East Africa. They have a big plastics processing plant in Kenya and in Tanzania, and they know all the different processing technologies, so they could also help us with the technology itself, and that is actually producible in Tanzania. Together with them, we invested again about $2 million then, which we did 50-50. And then also banks started stepping in, and also donors as well.
So what is your solvency rate now?
It's negative.
Okay.
And so, no, that's what I thought. But what will be your, you are looking at for 100,000 biogas for the next couple of years?
5 years, yeah.
So what will be your break-even point?
We need to sell 600 biogas plants per month to make profit.
And how are you doing right now? How many are you going for?
200.
Per month?
Yes. So I think within the first quarter of next year, we'll be cash flow positive in Kenya. Probably not yet in Tanzania, but which will follow later in the year.
Okay, but for example, if I want to, as a family, I want to buy a biogas, what is my investment?
So a family would invest between $300 and $700, depending on the size of the biogas plant. You saw the mass-produced parts, but it's a kit that can be expanded. So you can have a smaller kit or a bigger kit, depending on how many cows you have or other feedstock for the biogas plant. Or if you're school, it can be a lot bigger. But in general, people pay about $500 more or less for a biogas plant, and the payback comes from saved fuel costs. And mainly a lot from the fertilizer value, because with the biogas plant you can increase your crop yield dramatically. That is alone is about $2 to $4 extra per day income.
Margaret, the last round is for you. 1 more minute.
So again, compliments, and our tack is financial here, so we have to go there.
Sure.
I would like to know a lot more about rollout. I didn't hear an ask here, but I think I quickly read it on the screen. You're looking for how much?
$11 million.
11 million. And what does that buy for the investor?
That buys shares.
Yeah, but what percentage of the company?
But for us, I won't disclose here. I'm sorry.
So it's difficult then to, okay, so if we can't discuss valuation at this point.
IR is above, it's not like with normal social investors aspect, it's more on commercial rates.
And at the moment, I thought I also saw 10 full-time in Netherlands and 60 full-time in Africa?
Yes.
So your burn rate per month at the moment?
About $25,000.
Okay.
Okay. I think final short comment or question, Theo?
Yeah, I'm also looking at the way you discuss the, let's say, the repayment capacity of the clients of microfinance institutions specifically.
Yeah. Actually, a lot of microfinance institutions, but also cooperatives, came to us. They saw our offering in the market, which is unique. We're by far already the biggest biogas manufacturer in East Africa.
Keep it short, Sanne.
They want to provide. A lot of them provide a specific loan. So we provide pro forma invoice to the customer. They get a specific loan from the bank that we have pre-negotiated for a low interest rate. already. So that suppress their payments. Their monthly payments go down and not up if they buy a biogas plant because of the cost savings.
Okay, last one for you, Margaret.
Yours is the perfect kind of business where donor dollars can really help support an organization in its first efforts. And I happened to see on your website that you had a long list of donors who have helped. So how much donation money has the company received to this point?
About $4 million.
Okay.
Okay.
Right,
give a big hand for the panelists and for Sanne. Yeah. You can take a sheet again, yeah? Thanks very much. And I must say that the next panelist I would really invite to be sharper and shorter, and also for the one who's pitching. But this was helpful, I think, in understanding this case. I would like to call to the fore, I may call him Ani Falabaneni, from Kenya, please. I've seen Dan Dijk entering the room. Dan, it's good to be here. So after his speech, then Dan Dijk will be invited to the fore, and Frans Holhuber to ask the questions. Let me take my stopwatch.
Yeah. Well, I think you've scared me enough to keep it under 2 minutes. So.
Okay, well, the floor is yours. Annie, go ahead.
Thank you. So starting in the slums of Kenya, Sanergy is working to make hygienic sanitation accessible and affordable for everyone forever. Now, thanks to the keynote speaker, we all know about the magnitude of the sanitation problems worldwide, but the high population density combined with the lack of basic infrastructure makes this problem particularly acute in urban slums where populations will double to 2 billion by 2030. In Kenya alone, 8 million slum residents have to pay to use unhygienic options or rely on flying toilets that you see there, while 4 million tons of fecal sludge is being dumped into the environment every single year. So it's in this context that at Sanergy, we combine technical ingenuity with business model innovation to really create an integrated and profitable sanitation value chain. And we do this in 3 steps. The first part is to build. We're manufacturing and installing low-cost prefab sanitation facilities that we franchise to local entrepreneurs. For an investment of about 500 euros, and with the help of our training and support, our franchisees are earning about 750 euros per year in additional income. Second, our trained staff collect and safely remove the waste from the community and bring it to our centralized treatment facility. And third, we convert this waste into safe and saleable byproducts such as organic fertilizer and renewable energy. Sanergy will generate a profit by selling this fertilizer at a rate of about 30 cents per kg and electricity down the line at about 20 cents per kilowatt hour. The waste from the 8 million people living in the slums of Kenya, we estimate, create about 130 million euro annual market. But most importantly, at each step, we're creating jobs, opportunities, and incomes while tackling critical social, economic, and environmental challenges. In just 2 years, we've successfully sold over 275 franchises in the slums of Nairobi, Kenya. Our toilets have been used more than 2 million times. We've collected and are currently processing 1,100 metric tons of fecal sludge. And we're converting this into organic fertilizer. We also have a smart and experienced team of over 100 people powering our growth towards profitability. And in the next 3 years, when we have about 1,000 franchises up and running and processing about 5,000 metric tons a year, we anticipate reaching profitability and break even. So join us as we change the face of sanitation.
Okay, give a big hand, yeah. So the photographer is very helpful. He helped me to remind that your nameplate was not there, Annie. So let me put it there.
No worries.
But again, for you the question, what made you start this initiative or be engaged in this initiative? So thanks very much. Yeah. What was for you the personal driver?
I think for myself and for the entire team, it's about solving large, seemingly unsolvable problems. I think this is one of the most, sanitation is one of the most basic fundamental parts of being, of human dignity and human rights that, and we don't feel that it is unsolvable. I mean, we think that with a little bit of innovation and bringing in people from different perspectives, we can really tackle this. And, in about 10, 20 years, we're going to have this solved.
Okay, that's your dream.
That's reality. That's not just a dream. That's going to happen.
So, did you know about the other initiatives like SimGas?
Yeah, actually,
So how would
Sani
you see
and I
them?
met at our office in Nairobi. So
Would you see them as you know, as competitors or as colleagues?
Absolutely, it's colleagues. You know, we are not technology manufacturers or developers. We are implementers. We would love to take Sani's biogas unit and use it in our processing facility to upscale our energy production.
Okay, so that's good. Yeah. And what's your next week's hurdle?
Similar to Sani, actually, we've just invested quite a bit of capital in a new processing plant to upscale from our current capacity of 5 tons a day to about 15 tons a day of manufacturing organic fertilizer. So getting Kenya Power to actually install the transformer and give us power so we can run this factory is our next week's hurdle.
I would almost say in a similar phase. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks very much. Another big hand for Annie. Yeah. May I invite Dan? I've seen Dan there, and Frans, to come to the fore and take a seat. And then I would really invite our panelists to be a bit sharper and I would say almost crispier in their questions. And please take a seat here, Annie. And I would say first briefly introduce yourself and your organization. Yeah.
My name is Daniel Dijk. I'm working with Rabobank. It's a global bank. It's a cooperative bank, a not stock-listed bank. We are very active in many places in the world, among others in Africa and in Southeast Asia. It's where we also have the Rabobank Foundation, which is empowering local communities and also providing microloans and services. And in Kenya, we're active with the NMB Bank. We have a large operation running in Kenya as a bank. We are not an investment institution. We are a bank, a farmers bank originally. And what I like very much about your approach is the connection between city waste and urban waste and farming. Very good, very good.
Okay, yes, please, Frans.
My name is Frans Höllhuber. I'm working not with the big African Development Bank mainly. I'm working with the smaller African Water Facility. And I may be slightly challenged to put forward financial questions because my main background is sanitation engineer.
Okay, thanks very much. Yeah,
very welcome. I'm a chemical engineer by training. So
gentlemen, please start your crossfire to Annie.
Okay.
Your time starts now. Yeah.
What I would like to know is what is the size of your operations so far? You mentioned a new plant of 15 tons a day, and what is the size of the operation also in money terms and also in physical terms?
Sure. So from,
I think it works, yeah.
From a customer standpoint, we have 275 franchises to about 140, I believe, franchisees. So each franchisee actually is investing money back and purchasing additional units. So that means about 11,000 people a day are using our toilets and generating about 5 tons of sludge. That's our processing capacity at the moment. With the new plant, we're expanding that to about threefold, so that will get us to about the 1,000 toilets that we need for the break-even point. To process the sludge from the 1,000 toilets that we need to get to the break-even point.
Break-even is 1,000 toilets.
Yeah, exactly. So the sludge from 1,000 toilets is about 15 tons a day of input, and output is about 5,000 tons a year.
You know that I'm aware that you have been collecting several grants already. Could you tell us how is the proportion of the total grant funding you have received and other inputs, your own funding or any loans which you have put into the business so far?
Yeah, no, great question. Sanitation is an infrastructure business. It is capital intensive, to say the least. And I think especially in these areas that have the potential for tremendous public health impact, it really does require a public-private partnership. Our capital allocation is about 50% through grant donor funding and about 50% through private investment.
Okay, and the franchisees also bring in their own money?
Yes, so the franchisees are purchasing the toilets from us. The cost of a franchise is about 500 euros. We provide 2-year no-interest financing through our partnership with Kiva, which is a U.S. microfinance entity.
And so far, the revenue model is based on public service, on the clients, the retail clients using the toilets, or also on the revenues from selling the manure towards and the electricity, of course, to the Kenya Power, and the manure to the agricultural off-takers.
So everything that we're doing on the sanitation side is at break even, is at cost neutral. We don't generate profits from provision of the toilets.
That's cost-based.
Right, that's cost-based. We are, betting the company on generating profits from the back end, which is conversion to valuable byproducts, whether that be fertilizer, energy, or other things that are coming down the pipeline. So we're covering our marginal costs on sanitation provision through the cost recovery from the franchisees, and the franchisees are generating income from the people paying them to use the toilets.
What is the division between? What is the division between the earnings from the users, the end users, the electricity company, and the fertilizer business?
So we need to cover about $1 million a year of burn that will get us to, when we're doing this 5,000 metric tons a year, that will cover our overheads that currently don't get covered from the marginal sales. From
30 more
the toilet
seconds.
Sales.
Yeah.
So that's the burn rate. That's the overheads that we need to cover with the profit margins from the byproducts.
But how far are you?
Please use the microphone. You have 20 seconds left. Yeah.
What is happening now with what are your contracts with Kineo Power and with?
Sorry, to clarify, what I said was down the line we'll be selling electricity. At this point, we don't yet.
Oh, you don't yet. Okay.
Yeah, so we're just focusing primarily on the fertilizer business.
But as soon as you have your anaerobic digestion unit,
so
you have.
In Kenya, the power structure is that you need 500 kilowatt minimum install base before you can sell to the grid. So it's a little bit larger size than we have at this point. So that's a future revenue stream.
Last short question for Frans. Yeah.
Yes. Another challenge on the reuse, as far as I understand your business, is the urine. To me, there is not yet a solution. I mean, you cannot carry it very far. It's 98% water, and you have 2% of nutrients. Does it work, or are you sure that it will work?
I think our revenues forecast right now is based on the solid organic fertilizer. The urine, I think, has high potential, but still a bit of kind of research to be done, and that's partly what we're working with. Some of the Gates Foundation research grants are going into some universities that are developing some interesting new technology that we'll be able to tap into in the next year or two. So really, I think there's many other additional products and revenue streams we can go into.
One final question.
Very short one, please.
Universities take a long time. You need entrepreneurs to help you. If you need partnerships with other entrepreneurs who can help you down this road, because universities will take a long time.
Okay, well, that's a good advice. A big hand for all of them, yeah? And you can continue maybe after the session. Let's continue with the third pitch. I would like to invite Vijay Artre to the stand from Finnish. And he will be questioned by George Gruner and Bernadette Blom. Okay, Vijay, the floor is yours. Please go ahead.
Well, first of all, if somebody is seeing Saurabh Agnihotri's name, please let me clarify that I was not supposed to be here doing this presentation. Unfortunately, my colleague Saurabh, who didn't get a visa in time, so he couldn't come, so I just standing in for him. I happen to be the founder of Finish, of course, but I'm now actually, in a way, delegated it to the team, and they're doing the wonderful work. Actually, if I stay there, I think I'll be, causing a lot of impediments in the progress. So I kind of quietly moved out, and I'm doing some academic work at Cambridge right now. Anyway, coming back to this, we are talking about a sanitation supply chain business case. And just to introduce Finish very briefly, Finish stands for Financial Inclusion Improves Sanitation Health. We, in the Finish program, which is about now 4 years old in India, we're looking at how various kinds of financial inclusion measures can improve the offtake of sanitation and improve densities of sanitation in rural India. We're basically talking about off-grid sanitation systems. So the issue here in India is rather peculiar. I've been hearing about $1 invested in sanitation saves $5, in cost, but it's largely a public good. Unfortunately, people don't realize that it's their cost, so they don't want to invest. So there is a combination of private good and public good that that caters to sanitation, and private good is, of course, in the form of dignity, convenience, and stuff like that. But the issues of offtake of sanitation, primarily in Rajasthan, where this project was done, this particular intervention was piloted, this supply side intervention. This intervention, the issues were basically high material cost, high cost of toilets. It was costing about 11,000 rupees per toilet. And the offtake was not good because the government subsidies were there, but there was no way that people could claim the government subsidies. So there was a lack of enterprise involvement. There was nobody, no enterprises, no local enterprises that were kind of pushing this whole, sanitation offtake. And there was no perceived value for people. I mean, apart from the fact that there was dignity and convenience to women, the health effects of sanitation, which make it, it's not perceived by people. So nobody wanted to invest, really. So that was the issues, and that's how this project started off. Then what happened was that the person who wrote this report, really, Saurabh, he identified a few entrepreneurs. And these entrepreneurs, basically, what he sold to them was a dream that there's a big market for sanitation in the state of Rajasthan. It's about 4.3 million, the 43 lakhs we call it, 4.3 million. And the market size, because he figured that if he were to do this supply side intervention, then he can actually bring down the cost from 11,000 rupees to about 8,500 rupees per unit. So that was a big 25% reduction in the cost. And out of the 4,500 rupees, out of the 8,500 rupees, this person would be required to make an investment of 1 million rupees, the entrepreneur, and he would break even by doing 2,200 sanitation systems, because that's the margin.
He was 30 seconds left.
Yeah. So the business case is like this. DGIS, and that's basically waste through waste, and we get some funding from there, basically to promote the sanitation systems, awareness, etc. And UNICEF put in about 100 rupees. So 340 rupees is what we get as donor money. And the rest of it comes as subsidy financing from the government. That's 4,600 rupees. And then there's, suppliers credit, which, kind of makes the whole thing possible. The beneficiary contribution is about 3,400 rupees. So people are putting in their own money, and totally the cost works out to about 8,000 rupees for the toilet, 8,500 rupees. And the toilet is constructed. So far, about 1,000 toilets are getting constructed every month. And the people are breaking even, the entrepreneurs are breaking even in about, say, 4 months' time, 4 to 5 months' time.
Okay, give a big hand to Vijay, yeah. Sorry, Vijay, but I
no, it's okay.
had to stop you. But Vijay, maybe a few questions to you as well. I know Finish is a kind of more established program, isn't it? Huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So what is now your planning in the next few years? How would you like to scale up or accelerate?
We're looking at basically supply-side interventions. We're looking at reuse possibilities, and we're looking at energy. These are the 3 areas we're looking at. We're looking at sanitary marts, basically supply-side interventions, and then fertilizer and biogas, energy.
And then you can maybe also share one of your biggest lessons so far. I know you've been trying to leverage small portions of grant money with other funding streams. What could you say about this whole process of getting the project up and running?
One of the biggest lessons in the project for us was that, small is beautiful. And we figured that, in sanitation, it's a community-led activity. And, there's a lot of differences between communities, the way they behave. So you can't really generalize and you can't scale these things, but replicability you can do. You can replicate things across, communities with a little bit of tweaking here and there. But scaling up is a problem, so we deal with a lot of partners. We started with only 8 or 10 partners, but now we deal with about 60 partners.
60 partners,
yeah.
Okay. And what is your next week's hurdle or next month's? What is a big thing?
Next week, I'm going back to Cambridge. I'm trying to write a paper on this, so that's my hurdle.
Okay, wow. I don't take that one. Huh? For the finish, what is important to get arranged in the next few weeks?
I think we set up we have distinguished between a project and a program. We think Finish is a program and not a project. A project usually gets over when the grant money gets over, but a program usually stays beyond that period of grant. And in recognition of that, we've set up a NGO called Finnish Society. And our next big hurdle is how to make Finnish society sustainable, because if we really want to do sanitation, it takes a lot of time. It involves behavior change, and that's not going to happen in a hurry.
Okay, a big hand for Vijay, yeah? And may I invite then the next 2 panelists, that is Bernadette and, let me check, sorry, George, yeah? And please, Vijay, take a seat here. And again, maybe you could briefly first introduce yourself and your organization, and then start questioning Vijay. Please, Bernadette.
Okay, thank you. My name is Bernadette Blom. I'm a partner at Goodwell Investments. Goodwell Investments is an impact investment company based in the Netherlands. And we have 2 types of activities. We are an investment management firm, so we manage some microfinance funds in India and in West Africa. We do that together with local partners in Ghana, Nigeria and India. And we are also an advisory firm focusing on impact investing, of course. So we have all kinds of projects focusing on strategy, deal structuring, etc. One of the projects we worked on was supported by FMO and Cordate. It was a sanitation project, flows, water and sanitation project, I should say. And we did that together with Intellicap, a consultancy firm from India. And we, in the project, we sought for a model or program that provides water sanitation and microfinance solutions for the low-income population in India.
Working for KfW Development Bank, we are 100% government-owned, implementing the development cooperation on behalf of the German government. My name is George Gruner. I'm working for KfW's Competence Center for Water and Sanitation, and we annually roughly lend and grant a funding volume of 1 billion euros in the area of water and sanitation.
Okay, yeah, please go ahead. Question pops up. How much of this 1 billion is in sanitation?
Sanitation is roughly half of it. But it's mainly focusing on centralized systems for the time being. But there is a clear commitment from our side to also move into what we call the peri-urban space.
Okay.
And I think this is where we will have an interesting discussion on today.
Maybe on the second part of this discussion. Please go ahead and have the questions for Vijay. Yeah.
Well, I'm still not 100% clear how you target your customers. Are you cherry picking, or are you identifying niches for your programs?
Hello.
Yeah, it should work, Vijay. Yeah, I think it works. Yeah.
Check. Yeah. No, actually, the thing is, we are not cherry picking. Our intention is to move to 100% density, and the place we were working in Rajasthan, this particular project, which I was outlining, it basically starts with the toilet density of less than 10%. It's about 6%. And now, with these efforts in a couple of districts, we've actually moved to about 50 to 60%. So we're not cherry picking our customers, to tell you the truth, because this is the subsidy program on which it's based is available to everybody. So we're just ensuring that people can bring in their own contribution, and then the subsidy is made available to them through a aggregation process, and that people get motivated and incentivized to build their toilets. It's household toilets, basically.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your presentation. It was very interesting. I have a question that also relates to that. How do you make sure, because you act in the rural areas, I understand, also that the people are aware of the importance to actually have a toilet, a household toilet?
No, actually, in fact, that's one of the biggest hurdles. Yeah. That you have to start first with awareness. People are quite used to going out and doing their thing. In the past, they've been doing that for many years, and it's very difficult to change that behavior. You may convince, and then these places are not so densely populated. There is land available, and people would go out and do their thing. So how do you convince them to actually build a toilet and do it in their house, So that's the biggest challenge. So we've used audiovisual aids to do it, and then we have animators who go and do door-to-door canvassing. So it's a combination of personal selling and promotion through audio.
Okay, and once they are interested, how do they finance their toilet?
Yeah, so this is what I was getting to, that they have their own contribution of 3,500 rupees. And then, there's 4,500 rupees, which is actually coming from, suppliers' credit. And then we have tied up with the government. We have we sign an agreement with the government, and the government pays us after, it's a back-ended subsidy. So only after the toilet gets constructed, then only does the subsidy come to you. So therefore, we've tied up with the government to ensure that the people, the entrepreneurs who supply the material for this, they kind of, get their monies, they get their payments.
30 seconds left. Yeah. Last round.
Can all the customers afford the counterparty contribution? Is that really, not the customers, but the population? Or is this a challenge in order to really achieve the health benefits you would only get from a coverage of, say, 70%?
No, we eventually hope to reach 100%. People obviously will be resisting this because you see nobody likes to invest because they can go out and do it. They were doing it in the past, so why should you invest in a sanitation system? So they do resist investment, but then that's the job. That's the job of.
And you have partnerships with microfinance institutions?
We do.
So?
We are a fairly large program. We construct almost one toilet every 5 minutes in the country today.
Okay.
So while we are speaking, we have constructed a toilet.
I have to leave it with this. A big hand for the panelists and for Vijay. Okay, then we have the last, the fourth pitch by Karsten. It's, let me get the name right. Karsten Gjefle from Norway. And Theo Brouwers and Frans Huber will be putting the questions after this. Are you ready, Karsten?
Yes, I'm ready.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you very much. My name is Karsten Gjefle. I'm the founder of Sustainable Sanitation Design. Our work started when we were looking for positive ways for industrial designers and service design to be useful in the bigger questions. And the product, this is a urinal that is designed for women, and it was designed with women in Kampala. So one of our designers went into an urban slum in Kampala, discussed openly with women in the community without placing the agenda on sanitation. The women were asked, what would you like? What would you like me to help you produce or design? And the women who had great problems in terms of sanitation, they wanted a urinal in order to get privacy, in order to get security and safety into their daily lives. So after many different proposals in terms of shape, etc., we ended up with a very simple funnel that is tied up with a container. And this gives privacy to women, it gives security, and it also makes sure, and one of the challenges is of course, to make sure that the urine maintains the fertilizer value, even if it stands in the home of somebody for a week before it's collected. So that was the design challenge, so it doesn't smell, it looks decent, it can be stored away in a corner, and it's low cost. So we are assuming that this could be produced $3 to $5, and just by the fertilizer value of it, we think that that the value of the urine that comes out of this is approximately 50 cents to $1 per month. So the payback time is pretty rapid, and our goal is to create collection systems in order for these large volumes to come into the flower industry or to commercial farmers that are just around Kampala and in many other cities across Africa. So our proposal is to we have researched how this should be produced. We have gone through the technical side of how it should be produced with injection molding and evaluated the cost of things, and just the initial investment that is necessary for us to bring this to market is approximately $250,000 in order to create the infrastructure that is necessary in Kampala, and then it could be replicated to other cities that have similar type of challenges. And one of the main issues about urine is that 70% of the fertilizer value of what we excrete is actually in the urine. So from a fertilizer perspective, we really need to focus on the urine side. And since Susan Design also does treatment, we need to bring the volumes out of the fecal matter, because it's the fecal matter that makes people sick. So we have to bring the volumes out of the fecal matter, not contaminate even more water, even more urine with the urine or with the water that is today being put into fecal matter.
10 seconds left, Karsten.
Thank you. So the urine is key, and treatment is also very, very important, and we reduce treatment cost and bring a valuable product to farmers through this product. Thank you.
A big hand for Karsten. Yeah. So, Carsten, also to you a few personal questions. So, how long have you been engaged in this initiative so far?
Well, this is the analysis phase was 2008, 2009, and then we set it up as an independent foundation in 2009 in order for it to launch. And during this time, we have finalized the development of this urinal and also tested treatment solution in Kampala.
Yeah. How did you come finding your testing grounds in Eastern Africa?
Well, it was, in a way, a coincidence, because we had industrial designers in place in Kampala, so it became a natural hub for us to continue the sanitation work as well. And Kampala is a very good city in terms of bringing resources back into agricultural production, because food production is in the vicinity and even in the city of Kampala.
Yeah. So there must be more kind of innovators around there, isn't it?
Oh, there are definitely other innovators around, definitely.
Yeah.
So
and yourself, do you have a sanitation background?
No, I don't. Social sciences, actually. So
social sciences.
So this is a question that just bit me in the behind and took a lot of my time.
Okay.
So it's
okay. Yeah. And what is your next week's hurdle?
My next week's hurdle is to bring the financing in order so we can start production of this urinal. That's been my hurdle for
How much money?
Well, just the tooling cost is $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, and then we would need 10,000 units in order to start a proper structure in, for instance, Kampala. Yeah. And we need pre-orders from others in order to get the volumes, because this is a volume game.
Okay.
And we need both unit volumes, but we also need more cities involved in collection.
Okay, maybe this day can help in finding good targets. Okay.
That sounds good.
Okay, a hand again for Carsten, please. Yeah, please take a seat. Yeah. And then I would like to invite Theo and Frans again to the podium, and then once Carsten is ready. Let me take this away, yeah. And again, gentlemen, please go ahead and put your questions to Carsten.
Okay. Well, again, compliments. Absolutely, very promising. I was wondering, how do you organize your distribution capacity?
Well, in Kampala, we have partners, both in terms of NGOs, but also local community organizations within the urban slums. So our job would actually be to link up with these partners, make sure that we have the collection capacity, and actually structure the collection of things, of the urine volumes. But there will also be some local reuse in the urban area, in the urban space, in local small gardens as well. So there's a combination of some of it coming out of town, being sold, and some of it will be used in town as well.
How long should that take to sell 10,000 units?
Well, it shouldn't take more than a year, and but the question is, because this has to be done in quite a concentrated way. Because if we have 10,000 units scattered all across Kampala, it's an impossible logistical operation. So we have to find one part of town, one urban slum, one geographical area that has the need of 10,000 units, and then build the collection infrastructure based on that. And then we can start working on getting the feces out of town as well, and having that collection point as the urban, what we call the secondary treatment unit, where we also take care of the fecal matter.
And you have identified these areas already?
Yes, there are areas in Kampala where our partners already work. One of our partners has already set up 1,000 public toilet units for households. So there is a network that we are part of.
Yeah, Frans, please. Yeah.
Yeah. Your solution to me makes sense if there are two other elements which you have barely mentioned, and that is who will pay actually for that urine, and number two, what do you plan to do for the feces?
Yeah. We, in collaboration with GIZ, the German Development Institution, we did a market research for urine in Kampala. So we identified different commercial farmers, flower industry. What would be the volumes that they need? What would be their willingness to pay? What type of transport, logistical elements would we have to have in place ourselves in order to deliver, etc. So all these elements were brought into that market research to see what are the off-takers of these volumes. And again, it's a volume game. And the flower industry, they need large volumes every single week. Commercial farmers need it for certain periods of the year, certain volumes. So it's also a question of making sure that we can scale up from the 10,000 and even go further, because the need is actually larger than those 10,000 initial units. The second question about the feces. Yes. We finalized the testing of treatment for the feces. The treatment methodology is what we call ammonia treatment. So we kickstart a biological process in the fecal matter by using a fertilizer, standard fertilizer. Follow that process for a few weeks, and without actually having to be hooked up to the grid, we can bring out pathogen-free fecal sludge from this process. And that fecal matter we did it as a test unit that was built for approximately 2,000 people, and those volumes that came from dry toilets, septic tanks, and pit latrines were tested later in agriculture with one of our partners, and it works well so it's definitely a soil improvement product that has value. 30 seconds left. Last questions.
I have also maybe not captured actually how you are sure that your urinal is smell-free, and how that you have no nitrogen losses.
Yeah, and that is why we are industrial designers. We create solutions that actually take that into the product, so yes, there is no smell coming from the unit. When we tested it in Nairobi, the women were extremely happy with the product, to such an extent that we weren't able to get them back when we wanted to go for the next group. So we have been able to maintain the nutrient value of the urine during that storage phase in homes.
Okay, big hand for the panelists and for Carsten.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks very much, and we'll come back to some of the pitches later with the next round of panel discussions. In the meantime, I think we have about 45 minutes to go. A short mental break. I think the co-organizers will bring in some fruits, I think. Who knows the story of Dr. Sarfati? May I see hands? Well, you know Dr. Sarfati, I think it will be much more elaborated later on, but he took the shit out of Amsterdam 150 years ago, and he used it to grow vegetables and fruits. I cannot guarantee that the fruits you'll be getting have been grown with shit from Amsterdam, but I think they were biologically grown. So we have apples for you. If you'd like to take one, I think they will be distributed. Please go ahead. But please stay also in the room. We continue for 45 minutes.